Hi guys, welcome back to my miniature things. My name is Saeed. On today's Dolls Day Out, our dolls are going to the mall. I actually made a mall for my dolls once before, but I was a little kid. It was made out of like cardboard and like scraps of paper. But so many of you guys have been requesting this in the comments, and honestly, you guys, it's been a little bit intimidating just thinking about it, just because it's gonna be so much work. But ever since we built the zoo, I was like, you know what? That was a lot of work and it was definitely worth it. Maybe I can handle this one. So let's give it a shot. If you guys wanna see how to build a shopping mall for your dolls, just keep watching. So as you guys know, the mall has so many different types of stores in it, so it was really hard for me to pick which ones I wanted to make. But now that I've chosen the ones that I want to make, I'm having the hardest time figuring out which ones I want to make first. So to make things easier on myself and a lot more fun for you guys, I wrote them all down on these little pieces of paper, and I'm just going to dump them into this little glass box that I have right here, shut it, and then just shake it around. And now let's see which store the box has chosen for us to start with. It looks like it's gonna be makeup store. Yes, I'm obsessed with makeup, as you guys know, so let's make a makeup store for our dolls. So as usual, let's start with our floor. I covered a piece of foam board in this contact paper that I found on Amazon. It measures 20 inches by 30 inches. I believe we used this one in the bowling alley video. I think that looks like a makeup store floor, don't you guys think? But now that we have the floor going, let's see if we can start making some walls. Let's start with our left wall. So let's start off by cutting a piece of foam board down to 20 inches by 20 inches. And I'm going to use this lilac piece of foam board just so I can save on contact paper. I then Googled and printed out a makeup shelving unit that appears to be from some type of like makeup store, because you guys, I do have a lot of mini products like mini makeup from like mini brands, but I definitely don't have enough to fill an entire store, so we gotta work with what we got. So let's just place this one right over here on the side, about 6 inches up from the bottom. And oh my god, you guys, we're only 2 minutes into this video. My phone literally just fell off of the tripod and dashed straight into my foam board, leaving dents in my foam board. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna flip our piece around like this and stick our makeup shelves over that. Okay, catastrophe solved. And you know how when you go to those makeup stores like Sephora or Ulta, they always have those huge photos like the ad campaigns? Well, I was thinking instead of printing more photos and using up more ink, we can use an old magazine that I have laying around and see if we can find some photos that we can use as ad campaigns around the store. I think this one is really good, but there was another one that I saw back here. This one I think would match our store really well. So let's just tear it out, cut it down to size, and place it on our wall. Now let's cut 4 1-inch strips of foam board. They measure about 20 inches long. And again, I am going to use black foam board for this just because I'm trying to save on contact paper. But I'm going to use them to place them on the sides of each of our pictures just to break it up a bit and just make it look like, you know, it's not just photos floating on a wall. Add some definition to it is what I'm trying to say. Cut a couple shorter 1-inch strips and add them to the top and to the bottom of our ad campaign to make it look like it's in a frame. I also added one of the 1-inch strips to the top of the makeup shelves, but I didn't put one down to the bottom. And that's because I want to put cupboards on there. You know how in like Sephora or Ulta I keep referencing those because that's literally only makeup stores that I know. But they usually have cupboards down below, like where they keep their back stock. So that's what I want to do down here. So let's just put this aside for a second and cut a black piece of foam board down to 6.5 by 7 inches. 2 more black pieces of foam board that measure 2 3/4 by 4 inches. And I place them on the front of our 6.5 by 7 inch piece to create some cupboard doors. And 2 1-inch strips of black foam board that measure 2 3/4 inches long. And I place that above the doors to create some drawers. For the handles, I'm going to use this cake stand. Yes, this was a cake stand. It was a full circle when it came, and I got it at the 99-cent store back when the 99-cent store was a thing. But I cut 4 1/4-inch strips from it, and they all measure 2 inches long. And I'm just going to place these going across the drawers to create those handles, and then going up and down on the doors to create the handles on the doors. For the sides, let's use 2 strips of foam board that measure 2 inches by 6.5 inches, and I place one in the back of our piece on the left side and the other one on the right side. And to finish it off, I cut a piece that measures 2 3/4 inches by 7 inches, and I place it on the top. Clean up my edges in 1/4-inch strips of silver craft paper, and now we can place it right under our makeup shelves. I kind of want to add a little sign to the top of our makeup counter, so I printed out the word makeup, and now I'm going to stick it onto a silver piece of craft paper that's a little bit bigger than my makeup sign, so it looks like there's a border going around it. And I'm just going to place it right up here. Add a couple pieces of foam board to the back of this circular mirror that I found at my local dollar store, and place it over here on the side so adults have a place to look while they're trying on their makeup, giving us our first wall for our makeup store. And I just so happen to have another one laying around that we can use for our back wall. That one I actually made a while ago. I use it for one of my TikTok videos, but I've gotten a few questions in the comments asking me how I join my walls on the side. So let me show you. I'm just gonna turn both of my pieces over to the side so you can see better. I line my pieces up together so that the edges are flat flush and use a straight pin and go in about 1/4 of an inch away from the foam board in the back and stick it through, making sure that it goes through not only this piece back here, but this piece right here, all the way in. And you want to do this really straight, like at a straight angle, so that it doesn't come out through the other side. And I do one on the top, in the middle, and then one down at the bottom. And there you go, you guys. That's how I join my walls when I'm making temporary projects, because obviously this is going to be a massive project, so I'm not going to have room to keep all of this up. So when I'm done, I just pull the pins out and then I can store my pieces of foam board individually. I then made another wall for the other side, and I specifically left that space blank because I want to use this shelf that we also built in our bowling alley video. If you guys want a more in-depth tutorial on how to build this shelf, you guys can check out this video right over here. But if you've seen that video already, you would know that this shelf was made with a little bit extra here on the side. So I cut off the excess and I clean up the sides in silver craft paper and place it up against the wall to fill in that empty space. I then made another countertop using the same method as we used to make that countertop over there, but this time I made the top of my counter silver and I skipped the doors and the drawers in the front, and I'm just going to place this right over here. And then I'm going to use one of our cash registers that we also made in our bowling alley video and place it right over here so the dolls have a place to ring up when they buy their makeup. For the shelves that go in the middle of the store, I have these that I made for one of my TikTok videos, and there's a bunch of products on there that I made. These are just some beads that I put together. Down here, the products are made out of 2 layers of foam board that I cut down to size, and I stuck printables to the front of them. Cleaned up the sides with silver craft paper to make it look like little boxes of Olaplex. The same thing with the Dove soap, and then these bottles over here are the same thing, except I made them a little bit taller, and then I put a bead on the top to make it look like a bottle. And the hair dyes were all the same thing, except they are just 1 layer of foam board with the printable in the front, and then I cleaned up my edges with craft paper. And then this one is just a bunch of Mini Brands products, of which I do have a lot more of to help me fill the other sides of these shelves, and then also that shelf back there. But I'm gonna wait till we are completely done building everything before I start putting stuff onto the shelves, just because you guys know how it goes. You literally hit one thing and everything falls over. But I think that concludes our construction of our makeup store, and you guys, I am obsessed. It looks so good. But now let's see what our glass box has to say on which store we should build next. I'm just gonna give it a really good shake, open it up, and pick one. And the box says that we should make a toy store next! Oh my god, I'm so excited. This is literally my favorite store in the entire mall. Well, back when they used to have toy stores. So unfortunate toy stores aren't really a thing anymore, but in our doll world, it is. So let's make them a toy store. So I went ahead and I made my floors and my walls off camera just to save on time, but it's the same measurements as the makeup store. I used a cream and white marble contact paper that I found on Amazon for the floor, and some cloud craft paper that I found at Michael's for the walls. And I know that I have a little boob over there in my craft paper on that side wall, but don't worry, we're gonna make some shelves to cover that up. But you guys, I really wanted to use the pieces that we made for the bakery video as the shelving units in here, but there's just not enough shelves to emulate the layout that I want in here. So let's see if we can make some new shelves, but with that style of the bakery shelves in mind. So let's start by cutting a piece of foam board down to 14 inches by 10 inches. And again, I am going to use blue foam board just because I'm trying to save on contact paper. I then cut another piece that measures 2 inches by 14 inches, but this time I use white foam board and I cover one of the sides in gold craft paper and I stick it to the side of the blue piece. Cut a 1-inch strip that measures 10 inches and place it down to the bottom. For the bottom shelf, we're going to use a piece that measures 1 3/4 by 10 inches and I cover the side of it in my gold craft paper, and then I take a 1 by 10 inch piece and I place it about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, and then I place it into my shelving unit down to the bottom to create my bottom shelf. And then do you guys remember this craft paper that we used in the bakery video? Well, I kind of want to use it in my piece just because I thought it was so cute. You guys, look at the back of it. It's honeycombs. Like, this is literally the best craft paper I think I've ever had in my entire life. So I cut a 3-inch strip of it and I place it right down the middle of my shelf, and then I drew some lines every 2.5 inches going all the way up. Cut 4 pieces of white foam board that measure 1.5 inches by 10 inches and I cover the sides of it in gold craft paper, and then I start placing them on those lines going all the way up. Add another 2 by 14 inch piece to the side and a 2 1/4 by 11 3/4 inch piece that I covered all the way around on the sides with my gold craft paper on the top. Add one more piece that measures 2 1/4 by 7 3/4 that's also covered on the sides with my gold craft paper on the top, and add one of my hot glue Timu moldings to the front, giving us our completed shelf that we can now place over on this wall to cover up our boo-boo. I made a second one for the other side and 2 smaller ones for the back. I just changed out the blue foam board for pink foam board, and it only measures 6 inches wide instead of 10 inches wide. I also added a different molding to the top. Okay, you guys, this is looking super Toy Store-ish, and I'm obsessed. I also made another one of those countertops that we made for the makeup store, but this one I covered it in my bee craft paper, and I trimmed the sides and covered the top in gold craft paper. And I'm just gonna steal this from the bakery to use as a cash register for the store, which is really funny because this cash register was actually inspired by the cash register in Home Alone, which was also in a toy store. But I'm just gonna place it right back here on our countertop. I then made a box and trimmed it in my gold craft paper, and it measures 4 inches deep, 3 inches tall, and 10 inches wide. Add one of my hot glue Timu moldings to the front and place it in the middle of our store so that we can display larger items that can't really fit on the shelves. I feel like our wall in between those two shelves over there are looking a little bit bare. So I used AI to generate me a toy store sign, and I printed it off the computer. I then cut it out and stick it to a piece of foam board and trim the edges with gold craft paper, giving us a cute little sign for our toy store. So I think we're completely done with the inside of our store. The only thing that's really left to do now is to stock the shelves. But as I said in the beginning, I'm not going to do that till the end just because the items are so small and they're going to fall over because I still need to move this around quite a bit. But now let's work on the outside of the store, like the store front. But you know what I just realized? We didn't actually build a storefront for our makeup store, so let's do that first. Do you guys remember these windows that we made in this video right here? We also used them in our bathroom video, but I was thinking if we put them in the front, one on the left and one on the right, cut a black piece of foam board down to 10 inches by 6 inches, trim it in silver craft paper, make another sign like we did for the toy store, but this one has MMT makeup, which stands for My Miniature Things Makeup, duh. Place it on the front of our 10 by 6 inch piece and add it in between our glass windows on the top, giving us a really cool storefront for our makeup store. But now that we've made the storefront for the makeup store, now we can start making the storefront for the toy store. This is a piece of foam board that measures 20 inches by 30 inches, and this is our door frame. It measures 14 inches tall by 10 inches wide, and it's smack in the middle. The two windows on either side measure 13 inches tall by 3.5 inches wide, and they are 3 inches from the side edge and about 2 inches from the bottom edge. Let's now cut some 1-inch strips of foam board, cover them in gold craft paper, and place them on the sides of our window and our door. And don't forget to clean up your edges with craft paper. Add some plexiglass to the back of our windows, and I made another one of our AI signs that we can place over the door. Add some molding over the windows, one over the door, and a few smaller ones on the corners of our sign. But when the front of our toy store is next to the front of our makeup store, you can see where the foam boards join right here. So I cut another 1-inch strip of foam board, cover it in gold craft paper, and I place it right on the side to cover it up, giving us the cutest little storefront that you've ever seen in your entire life. And you guys, I am so obsessed with this toy store. It came out so good. I cannot wait to fill it with toys. But for now, let's see what our little glass box has to say on what we should build next. Let's just give it a good shake, open her up, and pick one out. And our next store that we're going to be adding to our doll mall is a jewelry store. So let's start building our dolls a jewelry store. To save on some space, I am going to make our jewelry store a little bit smaller. So I cut a piece of foam board down to 20 inches by 20 inches, and this is going to be our side wall. And then I cut two 1-inch strips of foam board that measure 20 inches long, cover them both in silver craft paper, and place them in the middle of our piece. Now, just like the makeup store, I want to do some ad campaigns on the walls. So let's bring back our handy dandy magazine. And I was thinking that we can use this one right here and this one. I also really like this one and this one, but I don't think we're going to have enough wall space to use both of them, so we're just going to have to pick one. I then cut it out and stick it onto a piece of foam board, clean up my sides in silver contact paper, and then add some around the edges on the top to create a frame for our picture, and then I place it in the middle of our silver 1-inch strips. I'm also going to add another silver 1-inch strip over here to the side just to cover where the walls meet. For the other side wall, I repeated all the same steps, but I put the third silver 1-inch strip on the opposite side, cut out and framed my second picture, and placed it right in the middle just like we did for our first wall. For the floor, I cut another piece of foam board down to 20 inches by 20 inches, and I covered in this glossy greenish marble contact paper that I found on Amazon. And then for the back wall, again, I cut another piece that measures 20 by 20, and I placed my marble contact paper down the middle, and then I trimmed the sides in silver craft paper, sorry. And then I decided to go with this necklace as my statement piece for the entire store. I'm going to place this one right here in the middle. I put them all together, and we have a great start for our jewelry store. Now, obviously, no jewelry store is complete without jewelry displays, so I was thinking we can bring back the one that we made last week for our closet video, place it in the middle, and spin it around so the drawers face the other side. We have ourselves our first jewelry case, but now we need to make a couple more for either side, so let's start making those now. So let's start by gluing a piece of foam board that measures 10 by 5.5 inches to a piece that measures 3 by 5.5 inches on the side that measures 5.5 inches. Then let's place a piece that measures 9.5 inches by 3 inches on the top in the corner, another piece that measures 3 by 5.5 inches on the other side, and another 10 by 5.5 inch piece on the top. Well, this is actually gonna be the side, but you know what I mean. This is actually gonna be the top. So I cut a piece of our glitter craft paper. It's the same one that we use for the closet display. It measures 3 inches by 9.5 inches, and I place it right on the top. And then I use 1/4 inch strips of silver craft paper to clean up my edges. And I also use my craft paper to clean up the sides of my piece. And I do it all the way around, finishing the base of our jewelry display. But now that we have the base finished, let's make the little glass that goes on the top that protects the jewelry from any little wandering doll hands, if you know what I mean. Let's start by cutting a piece of plexiglass or clear packaging down to 3 inches by 9.5 inches and glue a 1/4 inch strip of foam board that measures 9.5 inches to the edge. So you should have a piece that looks something like this. And now we're going to place a piece of plexiglass that measures 1.5 inches by 9.5 inches on the other side of this foam board, like this, gluing it on to the foam board, making sure that both of your corners of the plexiglass meets like that. Now let's cut a few shorter strips of 1/4 inch foam board and place it on the side. This one measures about 2 3/4. And then this piece measures 1 1/4 by 1/4. And then I place this on the other side on the edge. Cut a piece of plexiglass that measures 1.5 by 3 inches and place it on the top of our foam board, making sure that all of your plexiglass lines up on the corners. And then repeat the same thing for the other side. And now I'm gonna take a few strips of my silver craft paper and use it to clean up wherever my foam board is peeking through my plexiglass. And now I can place my acrylic piece on the top of my base piece, giving me a finished jewelry display. I repeated to make another one, and now the dolls have 3 glass jewelry displays that they can use to display their luxury jewelry. In our dorm room video, we made this little computer screen and this little keyboard, and I was thinking about using this as our cash register because, you guys, I am running out of cash registers. I don't really have that many, but I think this will work. So I made a little countertop for us to put it on, and I'm just gonna place this right back here in the corner. And now I can place my computer on the top so that the dolls have a place to ring up when they buy their jewelry. Oh, don't forget the keyboard. Okay, so now that the inside of our store is pretty much done, let's work on the outside. So I went ahead and I made another one of our storefronts, just like we did for the toy store, but this time I made it in gold, and I covered the actual foam board in this contact paper that I found at the dollar store. It's like a marble contact paper. And then do you guys remember this wall that we made in the bowling alley video? It has silver doors that actually work. Well, I was thinking if we remove those doors, and if you guys want a detailed tutorial on how to do these doors, please check out this video right here, the bowling alley video. But we can install these doors on the front of our jewelry store. We can get a storefront that actually has working doors. I then made a little sign for our jewelry store with some black foam board and some silver letters that I found at the dollar store and some gems that I also found at my local dollar store. And I'm just gonna place this right over, oh, hold on, let me reposition this so you guys can see. I'm just gonna place it right up here above the door. And with that, I think we are finished with our jewelry store segment of this video. So let's see what our box has to say about what we're gonna build next. Box! Oh, there she is. Oh my god, you guys, this looks so good with our jewelry store. Like, it matches so well. I wish we can find some way to like incorporate this in there, but I feel like it's a little bit too short. I don't know, maybe I'll see. But for right now, let's just give her a nice good shake and see what she has to offer. Next up is gonna be a movie theater. I actually made a movie theater before, but it was the inside of the movie theater. It was for one of my TikTok videos, this video right here. I remade one of the scenes from Scary Movie with my dolls, and it's actually hilarious. I believe I posted a piece of it here on YouTube, but the full version's on TikTok. It's hilarious. You guys should definitely check it out, but not right now. You're watching this video, so don't click out. After you could check it out. But as I said, I made the inside of a movie theater for that video, but today we're going to be making the outside. So let's get started on making the outside of a movie theater for our doll mall. Do you guys remember this wall that we made in our bar/club video, and then we reused it in our zoo video as the snake's habitat? Well, I was thinking that we can reuse it again as a part of the movie theater where the dolls get their movie tickets. So all I have to do is flip this over and remove the glass by removing my tape. These are times when I'm like, damn it, I should not have used duct tape to stick to glass, but it's okay. Got it. Now let's place our plexiglass piece, lining it up to the bottom of our cutout here, and place my ruler on the corner of the cutout. My cutout measures 10 inches wide, so I'm just gonna take a marker and lightly mark 2 inches over onto the plexiglass, then measure over 1.5 inches and make another little mark. And then I'm gonna repeat the same thing from the other side. Let's now remove our plexiglass and place our wall over to the side. I then use those markings to draw a 1-inch line going upwards, and then I connected them with a 1.5-inch line going across. And I do that for both of them. Cut on the lines drawn to remove that piece. Clean up the edges with gold craft paper and repeat for the other side. Now let's place it back on the back of our wall, making sure that the bottom of our plexiglass lines up with the bottom of our cutout. And of course, I never learned my lesson because I'm using duct tape again. Place a 1 by 10-inch strip of foam board that I covered on the sides with my silver contact paper right on the edge of our cutout to create a countertop, and cut a gold piece of craft paper that fits right over top to clean it up. And then I made a movie theater sign using AI, and you guys, with AI, you kind of just have to take whatever you get. Like, you can't design exactly what you want. So I have a little bit of a wonky sign right here, but it's okay. I'm just gonna place it right over here over the ticketing window. I also made a ticket sign that's also a little bit wonky, but I think when we place it into our scene, you can't really tell. Let's also add one of our gold countertops to the back. This one measures about 2 inches by 18 inches. For the floor, I'm gonna use this one that we made in our bathroom video. I found the contact paper on Amazon. So let's place our piece in the middle and place the wall that we also made in our bathroom video in the back so that you don't see outside through our ticketing window, and place a couple more of our bowling alley registers. On the countertop in the back of our glass, we get a finished ticketing booth for our movie theater. And I am obsessed, you guys. This looks so cute. Now, I don't have a table long enough to hold all of these stores in like one straight line, so I'm thinking about joining a couple tables and kind of making it into like an L shape. And I'm thinking about doing the movie theater in the corner of the L shape, so which means we only need to make one more wall for this side. And lucky for us, we made 2 of those walls in that bar/club video, so I'm just gonna place this one over here to the side. And I was thinking that we can use some of these movie posters that we made in our dorm room video to add some movie posters to our movie theater. So let's place them onto a piece of foam board that's about 1/4 inch larger than our poster on each side. Use 1/4 inch strips of gold craft paper to clean up our sides, and then add a few more around the top to create a frame. I repeated for the rest of them, and now we can add them to our wall. And you guys, I am so obsessed with this. I didn't really expect to be so excited about it just because I was using all stuff that I already had, but I'm in love. So let's see what our little box has in store for us next. And our box says that next we should make a bookstore. Now, this is one that I've never made before, so let's get started on building a bookstore. I'm not super excited about this one though, because bookstore means tons of books, which I don't have, which means I'm gonna have to make a million books. But let's get started on building the actual store. For the floor of our bookstore, I cut a piece of foam board down to 20 inches by 20 inches, and I've had this contact paper for quite a while. I had no idea what to do with it, but I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to use it. I don't know if we should place it with the grain of wood going this way or this way. I feel like this way, it might make it look a little bit wider, so let's go with that. And then for the back wall, I was thinking about going with this, oh my god, do you guys see that? Do you guys see how the blue is like flickering on the foam board? I don't know why my camera does that. It's only when my overhead lights are on. Like, watch this. Okay, I turned my overhead lights off and now it's not flickering anymore. If anyone knows why it's doing this, please let me know, because I need to film with my overhead lights. I just feel like the video is a lot darker without my overhead lights, but I can't film with them on because it does that. It flickers on certain surfaces. But I guess we don't have a choice, so we'll film without the lights unless you guys want to watch a video that's flickering every second. I'm going to place this right back here. And that is just a blue piece of foam board. Again, I was trying to save on contact paper, but I do think it matches really nicely with our floor because our floor has a lot of blue in it. And then for the side walls, I decided to keep it a little bit simple just because we have such a crazy floor and the blue in the back, so I just went with 2 pieces of white foam board. They both measure 20 inches by 20 inches. And then I was thinking that we can bring back some of these shelves that we made in our living room video to put our books on because they match so perfectly with our floor. So let's place one back here on the left and the other one over here on the right. I then made another one using the same exact method as we used to make the shelves for the toy store, but this time I covered my contact paper in this peel and stick wood grain contact paper that I found at my local Dollar Tree. And I also added some 3-inch dividers in the middle of my shelves just to give it a different look. And we can place this one over here on the left wall. And of course I had to make another one for the right wall. I also made my little countertop and I covered it in my wood grain contact paper that I found at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna place it right here in the back in the middle. And I was about to make a little table for right here in the middle to put a few books on, but then I remembered that I have these risers that I bought on Temu or AliExpress or Amazon or one of those a while ago. Don't ask me how much I paid for it because I have no idea, but we have 3 different sizes. We have this size. I do think that one's a little bit too short. Let's try the next size up. Not bad. And then this is the widest and tallest one. I think I'm gonna go with that one. Yeah, That one looks the best. For the cash register, I'm gonna use this little one that my sister gave me as a gift, and it was like an advent calendar for Christmas time, and it is so adorable, you guys. Look at this. The screens actually move, and it comes with a little scanny thingy to scan the barcodes. It's so adorable. I think she got this on Temu, don't quote me, because as I said, it was a present, so I don't know exactly where it came from, but we're gonna use this as our cash register for our bookstore, and we're just gonna put it right back here. Actually, I kind of want it in the middle. Yeah, that's cute. And don't forget the little scanny thingy. Now, a while ago, we made a library, and I did make quite a few books for that library, but as I said, that library was a gift for my sister. So I didn't get to keep half of those things. Like, a few of the books in the library were mine, so I still do have those, but I think I only have enough books to fill like one of those shelves, and we need to make a lot more books to fill the rest of these shelves. So let's start working on making some books. So to make my life a lot easier, I Googled book printables, and I printed these out, and I made sure that the books were in a line like this. As you can see, if I fold it right here on this side, going all the way down, all of them line up like this. This is perfect for when you're making a lot of books, because as I said, I have to make probably more than a million, probably actually a billion. A billion books for this store. Like, I'm not looking forward to making all of these books. I love crafting, you guys, but when I have to craft the same thing over and over and over again, it gets really boring. And then I just cut that line of book covers out, and I stick it onto a piece of foam board, making sure that the edge of my foam board is flush against the sides of my books like this. And for this, I like to use the Elmer's Cool Glue Disappearing Purple ink. You guys, it has to be the purple, or else for some reason it just doesn't stay. Fold it over onto the glue and press. And then I flip it over and I repeat the same process. And then, as I said, all of these line up, so when we place our ruler to the edge of one, it should line up with the edge of all of them, making it a lot easier to cut out. And then I go in and start cutting the tops and the bottoms of each one. I then repeated that a billion more times, giving me lots of books for our bookstore. But you guys, this is still not enough to fill all of our shelves. So let's see if we can come up with a more time-effective way to make some books so that we can fill all of our shelves. So I printed out these book spines that we get multiple books at once, because when the books are on the shelves, this is all you pretty much see of them. You don't actually see the covers or the backs of the books. You just see the sides of them. So let's cut it out. And I cut about 13 little squares that measure 1.5 inches tall by 1.25 inches wide. Glue them all together, and now I can wrap my printable on the front of it. And you can totally stop here, because as I said, when it's on the shelf, this is pretty much all you're going to see. But if you want to add a side cover, you can cut a piece of craft paper, or you can actually print a cover and just stick it over here on the side, giving us an easier, more time-effective way to fill up the shelf space for about 13 books. I then made this little sign that says knowledge is power, and we can place this right back here on the wall in the middle. For the front of our store, I made a wooden storefront, and for the sign, I print out 2 identical signs that say Bookstore, so that they have the same measurements. And yes, you guys, I am still printing on different pieces of paper whenever I have to print, because I still don't know how to put more than one picture on one page at once, so please don't judge me. But I placed them onto a piece of foam board, one on the front and one on the back, and then I trimmed my sides in gold craft paper to clean it up a bit. I'm now going to use a few gold tacks that I found at the dollar store to add some decorations to my sign, and I do it on both sides. Next, I'm going to install some of these hooks that I found at my local dollar store on the top of my sign, about an inch away from either side. And to get my hook going, I'm just going to use something pointy and make a little hole. Now I can place my little hook into that little hole that we just made and start screwing it in. I repeated for the other side, and then I cut a piece of chain down to about 5.5 inches, and I'm just going to attach it from one hook to the other like this. Now let's make something to hang it from. I cut 2 wooden dowels down to 5 inches, and I make a right angle with them. And then I cut another piece down to 3.5 inches, but this time I cut the sides of it at a 45-degree angle, and then I place it within my right angle. Add in another one of my hooks, and now I can use that to hang my bookstore sign, giving us our finished bookstore sign that we can hang outside our bookstore. I think that wraps up our bookstore. I think it looks amazing. And again, I know I made all those books, but I still haven't put it on the shelf. But you guys, I have to save something for the end for the shop value. Hello. But let's see what our little box has to say about what's coming next. She holds all of our fates in her hands. Let's see what she gave us. Looks like it's gonna be a clothing store. Yes, I'm obsessed with clothing stores, you guys. Like, I have so many clothes, but I don't have enough doll clothes. So that's actually a problem that I'm trying to fix now, because you guys know that I sew a lot of my stuff. So I've been trying to sew a ton more outfits for them. So at the end of this video, you guys are going to get to see a sneak peek of a bunch of new outfits that I made for my dolls. But for right now, let's start making a clothing store for our doll mall. So as usual, let's start with our floor, but I want to do something a little bit more fancy than what we've been doing so far. I really want to use this craft paper that I found at Joann's a while ago because I feel like it looks like fancy tiles. So I joined 2 pieces of foam board to give me one piece that measures 30 inches by 24 inches. And I cover the entire thing in my fancy tile craft paper. And you guys, look at how beautiful that is. And then for the back wall, I want to use this wall that we made in the bar/club video. And then for both side walls, I used 2 pieces of white foam board that measure 24 inches wide by 20 inches tall. Oh, and by the way, the back wall is 30 inches by 20 inches and it's not covered in contact paper or craft paper. It's actually covered in some gift bags that I found at my local dollar store. Now for the shelves, I was thinking about using this shelving unit that I made for one of my TikTok videos a while ago. It has a couple rods on either side so that we can hang some clothes, and then we have a couple shelves on the top so that maybe we can put either folded clothes or like accessories or something up there. And I'm thinking to put this one over here on the side. I have a second shelving unit that I also used for that same TikTok video, but this one has rods facing outwards so that we can hang outfits facing forwards. Then over to the left, we have a few shelves made out of plexiglass, so they looks like glass. And then over to the right, we have another rod going this way so we can hang some more outfits. And I think we should put this one over on the other side. And as you can see, that's why I didn't really do anything crazy with the sidewalls, just because I knew that the shelves were going to go and cover it anyways. I also have this little L-shaped desk thing that we can use as our countertop to put our cash register on, and I'm just going to put this one back here in the middle. For the cash register, again, I'm going to use one of my computers that I made and place it right back here on our countertop, so now the dolls have a place to ring up when they buy their clothes. I also made a little table for the front. It's basically just a box made out of black foam board, and then I trimmed the sides of it in gold craft paper. I was going to say silver, but gold craft paper. And it measures 10 inches wide by 4.5 inches deep by 3.5 inches tall. And I'm just going to place this one right here up front in the middle. And this one's really cute for like folded items. I really wanted the front of the store to be really upscale and sleek. And you guys, I think I achieved it with this black and gold look. I used some black and gold lettering that I found at my local dollar store for the sign. And then I just trimmed everything else in gold, including adding some gold strips over on the side. And you guys, I am obsessed. It looks so good. And yes, I am fully aware that we don't have glass in these windows yet, and that's because I ran out of plexiglass, you guys. But don't worry, I ordered it and it's on its way, so there will be glass in those windows by the end of this video, I promise. But now I think it's time to bring back our glass box to see what we're gonna do next. Actually, before we bring back the glass box, I completely forgot that I wanted to do some mannequins for the inside of the store. So I'm just gonna take a doll that I don't really use anymore, pop off her head, and then I'm just going to take this wire cutter and trim off her neck anchor. Add a round wooden finial to the top just to clean it up a bit. Spray paint her gold and place her on a doll stand. And I repeated to make another one, and now we have 2 really cool gold mannequins for our store. And the great thing about this, you guys, is depending on the color scheme of your store, you can spray paint these whatever color you like. I've actually done them in white before and they look pretty good, but I think the next time I do them, I'll probably do them in black. But I do love the gold. This is definitely my favorite, obviously. Now that we have our mannequins, now we can see what our box has to say about what we're gonna build next. And I completely forgot what I put in there, so I have no idea what's left. A purse store! Purse/shoe store, actually. I did want to do 2 separate stores, like a purse store and a shoe store, but I just don't have enough space to do 2 different stores. So I decided to combine them just because they're both accessories, so it's not a big problem, right? I decided to go with all pink for our purse and shoe store. Our floor is contact paper, courtesy Amazon, and our walls are just pink pieces of foam board. The room measures 30 inches by 30 inches, so it's quite large. And for the shelving units, I was thinking about using the piece that we made in our closet video because it's already built and the shoes and the bags are already on there. Well, actually one's missing, but I'll find something to fill that in. Well, let's just turn this to the side and put it on the side wall. And then for the right wall, I have a second one that I made a while ago. There's not as many bags on here, but don't worry, by the end of the video, I will fill up all of these shelves. I also want to use the 2 smaller shelves that we made in our closet video. And I'm just going to put one back here and back here. And then for where we put the cash register, I think it would look so fancy if we used a table instead of a countertop. And then this really cool glass chair that I found on Amazon. I got 2 of them. I don't remember how much they were, but they're still on there. You can just Google acrylic chairs, acrylic 1/6 scale chairs. For the cash register, I was thinking about using this little laptop that I found on Temu. It's made out of metal. It's really cool and it does open and close, but I actually glued mine open just so it stays open. I just feel like a store like this just wouldn't have like a cash register. You know what I mean? Like a more high-end store. Well, at least that's what I'm going for. Let's see what this tree looks like back there. Okay, actually, I really love that. I'm obsessed. Let's also add a couple of these little candle stands that I found at my local Dollar Tree. They were only $1.25, and we're gonna put one here and one here. Add some mirror coasters to the top, giving us some extra space to display bags or shoes or sunglasses or whatever we want to display. For the store front, I used pink and white, and then I added some shrubbery around the windows and around the sign to match the inside of the store. And then you guys, I named it Tote. Get it? Because they sell handbags. Ah! that's so cute. But now that we're done with our purse/shoe store, that means there's only one thing left to build in the entire mall. So last but definitely not least, honey, is a food court. Yes. Okay, let's do it. So again, I went ahead and I put my floor and my walls together. These are all things that I've had from prior videos, my TikTok videos. You guys know that I come from TikTok, like that's where I originally started. So I do have a lot of stuff from those videos that I want to reuse. And this is like the perfect time to reuse them. So yeah, I'm doing it. And since this is going to be a food court, I was thinking that we can also reuse some of the stuff that we made here on this channel, like the snack bar from our bowling alley. We can put it right over here on the side. Add our little countertop in the back so that we can place the little thing that holds the food on the top. We also made a vending machine in that video, which I think would be perfect for a food court. And then over here on the right, I went ahead and placed one of my displays from the bakery video because I was thinking that over here on the left, we can do like salty, like savory foods so that the adults have a choice between sweet and salty, or they can have both. Because knowing me, I would definitely have both. I would have the savory first and then the sweet. And let's not forget our little menus that we also made in those videos. I'm just gonna place this one right over here and the other ones over here on this wall. Let's also bring back some of our tables and chairs that we made in our bar/club video so the adults have a place to sit while they're eating. And unfortunately, you guys, that's pretty much all I have room for, but I'm gonna go put everything together now, stock all of the shelves, and I'll be right back with the finished product. I put all my stores together and this is what I got. All right, you guys, we did it and I am obsessed. I know in the beginning that I said that this was gonna be a lot of work, but you guys, I completely and totally underestimated the amount of work it was gonna be, especially the part with the books. Like, oh my God, it took me a better part of a day to do all of those books. But it was definitely worth it because it was easily one of my favorite things I think that I've ever made. I'm obsessed with the toy store. I'm so happy that one came out good because as I said, that's my favorite store in the entire mall. The clothing store, also one of my favorite stores in the entire mall. Obsessed with that one too. And I really, really love the bookstore, except for the part when I had to make all those books, the trillions of books. Yeah, that part. But earlier I did mention that I made a few outfits and I was gonna showcase them in the finale scene. So I was wondering if you guys can actually guess which outfits I made in that finale scene. Leave your comments down below and let me know which outfits, because I did make more than one of them. Which outfits do you guys think that I made in that finale scene? Also, please let me know what we should build next week. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.